Hello and welcome, dear colleagues. Thank you for joining today. We are thrilled to welcome you to our today's session. Thank you for joining and welcome to our Open Central Asia Regional Interest Community Open Globe Insights series. So let me introduce first myself. I am Nadra Kushpakova. I am one of the community leader of the Open Central Asia Regional Interest Community. So I will be your host today. So let me introduce today our presenter, Iffat Jahan Suchona from Bangladesh. Her topic is employability skills in English language classroom. So let me introduce Iffat first. Iffat Jahan Suchona is a research scholar at the English and Foreign Language University EFLU, Hyderabad, India, currently in her third year of doctoral studies. With over 4 years of tertiary level teaching experience in Bangladesh, her research focuses on employability skills in higher education. Her research focuses on employability skills in higher education, particularly leadership, emotional intelligence, and digital literacy. She is also passionate about diversity, inclusion, and teacher development. Iffat has published more than 15 papers in peer-reviewed journals and recently contributed as resource guru and community lead in the Open Program alumni community after completing a U.S. Department of State sponsored training with Arizona State University. Welcome, Jahan. Iffat Jahan Suchona. Welcome, Iffat, to our and thank you for
Thank you.
joining our Open Globe Insights series. I'm going to stop share my screen and I will do your let me okay. Yes, I did.
Okay.
Dear colleagues, a little bit a reminder, could you please unmute yourself and please keep your microphones muted, please. Okay.
I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, yes,
Right.
sure.
That's how we begin. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me here. It's really an honor to be here. And I'm actually glad to see both you, Nadira, and Yerkin, because I have known you both from the community lead programs, right? So it's really good to be connected here once again. Um, yeah, here's my topic, teaching employability skills through English language or in the English language classroom, be it in the school level, college level, or university, wherever. Before I actually delve into my deck of slides or talk about it, I have just one small question here. This one. Uh, which of this do you think English teachers are most often evaluated on in institutions? Think about your own context, think about your teaching practices, reflect on your English classroom, and uh, just take one or two options from here. You can just write in the chat box, by the way. Just take 5 minutes and try to answer this question. I just want to see your responses that how would you see yourself as an English teacher or how do you do it?
See, so
Okay.
dear
Somebody already
colleagues,
answered
could you
it.
please chat on the box?
Just write in the chat box.
Yeah.
Language skills. Nice. A and D. C. Very interesting. There is no right and wrong answer. You just think about yourself as a teacher in your classroom and think how you are evaluated as an English teacher. D. C.
Oh, morale has the three.
C, D, B, C,
Wow.
D. That's nice. C when it comes to classroom evaluation. Oh, cool. B. Okay. B, yes. Nice. Anybody else? C, D. Okay, right. B, C. Yeah, B. Most of you actually, yeah, you guys responded to B. Some of you responded to A. Nice. Great. So yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. I'll just get back to my topic right now. See, if your answers are A or B, and yeah, that's really I don't know how to say this, but that's really how world sees English teachers, right? English teachers are there to teach grammar, vocabulary, teach some sort of ABC of language. But yeah, if your answers are C and D, then that's really great. That it means we are not far from what I'm going to talk about today. So skills are really important. So yeah, we believe English teachers shape real world skills, but our many of our educational systems in our context often measure the teachers by grammar and exams. I can talk about my own experience as a teacher in Bangladesh. Like it's heavily exam oriented, grade oriented. Sometimes teachers are evaluated based on how much they can actually teach the students grammatical knowledge or vocabulary. Very few are there that sometimes they actually ask teacher if you have taught your students any kind of skills. Now, when I say skills, I do mean some skills that are going to be useful for the students when they finish their degree and go to the job market in the real world and going to use those skills. So that means those students will be or may not be employable. The word is employable. So here, employable and the skills, now it becomes employability skills. So, you know why I'm talking about the skills? Let me go to the next slide. Can you all see this picture? Is it clear?
Yes.
Is it very much clear? Like, can you see the core skills?
Sure.
This is not made up by me, by the way. This is a report from World Economic Forum where they have surveyed some data like what kind of skills are emerging, what are the core skills that we will have by 2030. We are already in 2026. What skills are kind of steady? That means they're very core now, but they may not be increased in use. And finally, some skills will definitely be out of focus. They're very less essential now, and they may not be needed anymore. And if you can see, if you notice, if you all look at the global future of work reports, here, one thing becomes very clear that the skills employers value most are not isolated technical skills. These are mostly communication embedded skills, such as critical thinking, empathy, collaboration, teamwork, communication, leadership. resilience, creativity. And this is exactly where English teachers like us matter. Even if we are teaching at college level, school level, like primary, secondary, higher secondary, or even at the university level, it doesn't matter where you teach. Skills will always matter. And there is one language which can help your students become more useful in the job market. Because at the end of their degree, most of will go for the jobs. So it really matters, apart from the degree, what's actually they're having. So what you should be remembering is your classroom, your English classroom is not just a language classroom. And I'm sure many of you already know this. I'm not teaching you anything new. It's something that we are actually reinforcing. So here, English classroom, you have to remember that these English classrooms are basically training grounds for thinking, for negotiating meaning, for managing emotions, and working with others. Just think about your own lesson at any of your class, every presentation, every debate that you made your students work on it, every peer review. Maybe you had group work in your classroom, maybe you had some pair task in your classroom. Maybe you had some kind of reflection journal that you told your students to do and share. Anything that is already a soft skill. We just don't always name it that way. So yeah, when we say soft skill, those are employability skills. Those are not hard skills. Those are transferable skills. So one thing I want to say that teaching English today cannot be reduced to grammar accuracy alone. Grammar will always support communication, but communication will build human skills. Those human skills are called employability skills, and those are what future economy is demanding. So here, we English teachers are most important to teach our students, to prepare our students for the job market in the life. Like by 2030, things will change. We are already in the AI-driven world. Many jobs will just go down. Everything will change. So we teachers have to be prepared for that, and we must prepare our students for that. So if you have any kind of thoughts, you can share in the group chat. I can see the messages here. Anything you want to say or share, you can just write it there.
Dear colleagues, could you please share your thoughts on the chat?
Or you can even ask me at the end of this webinar. That's also fine. Absolutely. Yeah, I'll also talk about that. AI and critical thinking somehow should be incorporated. Definitely. Nobody can actually take this away in today's world. AI is needed, critical thinking is needed, and just in between English language is needed. Anyways, so here, what I want to say is when I think I hope my slides are visible, right? I'm moving on to different slides and hope you can see them. Is that okay? Yeah, cool. Okay. So one thing I want to make sure that when you teach English, whatever level that you teach in, you might be school teachers, you might be college teachers, you might be university level teachers. In whichever institution or level you teach your language very intentionally, which means what I mean by that is you need to make the skills visible to your students. For example, let's say when we ask our students to present ideas in English, like we have a topic, we are teaching some kind of reading thing, or we have a topic, we give it to them, and then we tell them that come in front of the class and present it in English. So yeah, in that way, they might be learning vocabulary and grammar. But you can also make sure that your students know that they are not just learning grammar and vocabulary. By doing that, they're also learning how to organize their thoughts, how to express ideas clearly, and how to communicate effectively. And then once they're done with their presentation or anything, you can also make a connection with those topic or their ideas with the real world skills where they will be needing in any kind of job that they will be doing. So that's how you can make the skills visible for the students. And you can also tell the importance of the skills to the students. Because when students know why they're actually learning skills, they kind of show some kind of interest in learning. Otherwise, sometimes they just don't care, because I have also students like that. Sometimes they ask me, why are we learning this? Will it be helpful in my job? Now I teach adult students. They are like grown-ups in a university. So it's like they have this kind of focus or mindset that once the degree is done, they will have to land in the job. So as an English teacher, I also have to make sure that, yes, I'm teaching you this kind of thing because in your job, someday you might be in some kind of situation. So how would you handle that? So when you are teaching your students any kind of language skills, maybe you are even teaching some kind of grammar, some kind of, like, let's say you are teaching punctuation. That's really very important in language. But you should also make sure, you should also tell your students that punctuation is not just important in writing paragraphs. You might also need it when you're composing an email, because that is something you might be needing in your job. So here, I have a very interesting infographic, like when we say employability skills, especially using English language, what kind of skills we English teachers can teach, right? There are so many skills. I have like mentioned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 skills, but there are other skills you can think of. Can you think of some other skills here?
Could you please share on the chat?
You can share on the chat box. Like, I have talked about communication, I have talked about presentation, self-awareness, embracing diversity with open mind, adaptability, critical thinking, empathy. There are other skills that you can even focus on in your language classroom when you are teaching something. Leadership, that's really great. Today a reader, tomorrow a leader. That should be the motto. Inclusivity, multitasker. Anything else you can think of? Adaptability, digital and media literacy. Oh, cool. Self-growing organizer. Emotional intelligence. Yeah, as part of emotional intelligence, I have included empathy. The four S. The four S. Somebody wrote the four S. Okay. Self-education, self-learner, self-care, part of, yeah, social emotional learning. That's really important. Communication, absolutely. Communication is the baseline of everything. Collaboration, self-reflection. Cool. Excellent. Excellent. Equity, tolerance, assessment. So many skills. But can we teach so many skills in one class? There are lots of skills. Like, we teachers always want to teach our students with so much enthusiasm, but we definitely cannot teach all the skills in one class, right? Problem solving, 4C skills. That's great. Thank you. Yeah. Here comes my next question. Right. Some more than others, depending on focus of today's lesson. Excellent. Yes. So what can you do in your classrooms when you're planning on integrating these skills into English lessons? Okay. So I'm pretty much sure you already teach some of the skills in your English lessons. So how do you do that? Can any one of you share? Unmute yourself and can share. Can any of you share your experience?
Hello,
Hi.
am I audible?
Yeah,
So I would like just to share just one example about critical thinking in my classes. So
absolutely.
university, preset university students, in order to avoid too much friendship with AI, we try to
Mhm.
somehow integrate critical thinking in our classes because sometimes students consult AI always if you ask some kind of question. That's why
Mm.
we try to make our classes make them to use their brains, not AI, friends.
Right,
Yeah. Peer work, discussions. Sometimes we organize discussions. We read
right,
um,
right.
professional article and try to solve some kind of case studies together.
Case study,
So
yeah.
yes, case studies, discussions, and sometimes what else? Discourse analysis. Yeah, this kind of activities we try to do during the classes.
Right, right. Brilliant. Anybody else? Somebody actually raise hand.
Anna.
Anna, yeah, sure, go on.
Hi, good evening,
Hi,
everyone, first of all.
good evening.
Well, what I like to do in class is use any opportunity to do like critical thinking on a go. So one of the examples
Mhm.
is, let's say you have a pair of students and the task was to prepare a presentation or whatnot.
Right,
So they worked on their
right.
collaboration, they worked on their like negotiation. But then when you're asking who wants to go first, there is usually, you know, how you pair up the active one and the not so active one. So the active one
Right.
raises their hand, and the couple like
Yeah,
the peer seems to be the first one to be volunteered. And then the
absolutely.
second person lazily or like resistantly rises up. And so then, you know, when it's time to talk, he's like, yeah, well, let's go. He's like, well, I don't want to. And then on the one hand, you have a conflicting situation. On the other hand, like you can always turn it into opportunity. So what I like to do is like, okay, so it looks like one of you was ready to go. The other one didn't. How does
Mhm.
that feel? So then we have the dialogue, and because it's moderated, mediated by me, then there is no grouchy bad
Mhm.
feelings, but they're working on
Right,
emotional intelligence, critical thinking, and collaboration and openness and communication in one go. And then so we negotiate,
exactly.
and then, you know, he says, well, I didn't want to go. The other one says, I was like, okay, so how does it make you feel? Your partner didn't want to go, but you decided to go, like on two of you, on behalf of two of you. So he says, I feel disappointed. Then, okay, so how does that make you feel hearing that somebody's disappointed? Well, I'm disappointed too. Then, okay, guys, so that already happened. So, and then instead of like a conflict situation, that actually got resolved pretty easy because I was like, okay,
Yeah,
guys, well, now since both of you are here, so what are we gonna do? The other one goes like, okay, I guess, you know, for today we will present since like we're already here. And the other one, well, I guess next time I'll ask you. And that was a wonderful thing.
exactly.
So I didn't have to do anything on their behalf. They just came.
Thank you. Yeah, that was really wonderful. Yes.
So that's
Yeah,
one.
this
And
is
then
something.
simply
Yeah,
asking them how they are and getting the true answer at the beginning of your class, like asking
right.
them to reflect and figure out, or doing a short meditation that actually
Right.
like really like helps to with emotional intelligence
Exactly.
and reflecting the feelings.
Emotional intelligence. Yeah, I'll come to that part actually. That's something very important in this world. Everybody's talking about it, and we'll have some discussion on that as well. Thank you so much. That was really insightful. So, and yeah, some people also wrote about it. Oh, I like this one. To be honest, I doubt about activities on empathy. Yeah, I need to have more ideas on that. Interesting. Integrate communication. We can use peer. Yeah, everybody's talking about peer work, group work. Yeah, I totally understand. Interviews, information. Yeah, here's just it's just an infographic that I was creating today that so that you guys can have just a very small idea like how to just use comprehensive skill development in action. Um, there are so many skills actually. Like there are different types of skills you can teach in your classroom, in your language classrooms. Like somebody already mentioned critical thinking. Critical thinking is absolutely important, of course, because AI is taking over. AI is everywhere, and yes, even in my case, what happens when I ask my students to do something, they will definitely go to ChatGPT. I cannot blame them actually, because I myself use ChatGPT. Okay, so yeah, so this is something we cannot just deny. AI is here, AI will be here, and who knows what AI will do in future. So, but it can be turned into a skill, it can be turned into a strength, and you as a language teacher definitely can help your students do that. So yeah, when we say critical thinking, with critical thinking, there is another important skill, which is decision making. These two sometimes go together. And you can teach your students like by integrating critical thinking and decision making into the lessons. You can help prepare your students for the world of work. You can also support them in becoming more successful language learners, as the development of these types of skills that will lead to some kind of improved attention and observation. And by doing this, your learners will be able to not just think critically, they will be able to take some decisions using their brain. I mean, they have a brain because of ChatGPT and other stuff. Sometimes they're probably forgetting to use it. So if you can actually make some lessons, you can also take some help from AI, but if you can make your lessons that will make or force your students to use their brain, to think critically and make some decisions, that will actually be helpful. And also, when you're teaching this kind of skills using any kind of lesson, make sure you also tell your students that why they're learning this and how it can be useful in the job life. So one thing you can do is, I have to tell you this, that at the heart of critical thinking is the notion of asking questions, which many students don't do. When even as a teacher, when I ask my students, do you have any questions? They are just silent, most of them. I have to repeat myself. Any questions? Any questions? They are like, no. It might be because of the context. In our context, not asking question is seen very polite thing. But I know in other contexts, it may not be the same thing. But yeah, as a language teacher, we have to make our students to ask questions, because in the real job life, in any kind of situations, people ask questions. That is part of human beings. So your learners should be encouraged to continually question the information they receive and the conclusions they come to. So what you can do is you can push your learners to deeper critical thinking by asking them questions like, if you have given them some kind of task and if they produce an answer, make sure you also ask them, why is that your answer? And you force your learners to think that why is that his or her answer? You ask them, how did you come to the answer? You can also ask them, do you think there could be a different answer? And if possible, you can also integrate AI in your classroom. As I already said, we cannot deny this thing. So maybe we can take some help from this thing. It can be AI mediated as well. So maybe you can you can just ask your learners that whenever you're producing an answer, you can ask AI what kind of answers AI would give. Then you compare your answers. So that will definitely push the learners to think in deeper ways. And also, you should encourage your learners to seek out and compare alternative arguments and different types of proposals before making decisions and drawing conclusions. This can be done when you're giving different kinds of topics for presentations, or you're making your students doing debates. I'm sure many of you already do this, but maybe next time you can choose topic which might be relevant to the lesson plan as well as the real use in the job market. So if you can make a connection between these two, students will be interested to learn more. And I can already see some of you already mentioned so many things about grouping according to the abilities and skills. Yeah, absolutely. Integrate communication, we can use what else? Teaching and discussing empathy. Okay. Equip them to use AI appropriately. Absolutely. You yourself obviously have to use AI. You can also tell your students to use AI. But yeah, before they do that, of course, as a teacher, you can tell them to use it responsibly. Like if you can have some boundaries and you tell them that you can only do this and you should not do this, they will listen to you. So you set up your own rules and regulations with AI stuff. You tell your students, and also make sure that you tell your students that using AI is okay as long as they don't just copy paste without doing anything, which is fine. All right. Somebody also mentioned we should teach students how to use AI as a thinking partner and rather than an answer machine. Shift the focus from final result to the process. Instead of asking AI for the answer, students should use it to brainstorm, predict, simulate a data. This is a very interesting thing, and it's a very good way, particularly if you are teaching your students writing tasks. Like many of you probably teach your students writing paragraphs, essays, different kinds of essays, different kinds of pieces of narratives, anything. And in that case, you can actually use AI in your classroom if you have that advantage. Now, I'm not sure how many of you are from low resource context. If not, that's a good thing that you can use AI. Even in our context, we can use AI. So in that case, you definitely should not ban AI properly. That fully banning AI, that will actually lead to some kind of negative impact, because when you say no to some students, they will definitely do it. So instead of doing that, you take AI, you make them their thinking partner, and make sure you also create some kind of prompts that will help your students do things accordingly. So that's a very good one, really, really a brilliant one. There is one more skill. It is very well discussed. Like I have already mentioned this empathy, and somebody already mentioned emotional intelligence. How many of you actually teach this in your language classrooms, and how do you do it if you do it? Because teaching empathy is really difficult, and we always talk about empathy, sympathy. Sympathy is definitely not empathy. Um, but sometimes we are not empathetic. But in today's world, having empathy, having social skills, self-awareness, self-regulation, also managing other people's regulation, listening to other people, these are very important, particularly in the job life. So how many of you actually do that? Oh, Anna raised hand. Yeah,
I don't
sure,
want to be
please.
the non-stop talker, but I'm always active one. I'm sorry.
Teachers are non-stop talkers. Please share some
So,
ideas.
so first of all, because I'm also involved in psychological counseling, particularly like
Nice.
motivational interviewing, so I do love
Great,
to
great.
consider active listening part of the life skills, actually, and not just like
Excellent.
psychological skills. So
Right.
for that reason, when it comes to teaching empathy, I like to explain
Yeah.
students exactly what you mentioned, the difference between sympathy and empathy. And you
Mm-hmm.
basically can do it situational. For example, I will ask you to share how do you feel? And let's say somebody says, oh, I have a headache. So then I'm asking my
Okay.
students, okay, so she has a headache. What would you respond? Like, how would you respond? And so, of course, the instant, I don't know how about you culturally, but our folks are very inclined to be really helpful. So they try to do the good and they will be instantly saying, like, wait, take a pill, take and whatnot. So nobody, so that's about having that curiosity mindset to actually
Mm-hmm.
understand what is under I have a headache. Is it a physical
Mm,
headache or is the person just tired? Is it just
mm,
that it was a hard day or they're maybe irritated by someone? So
right.
that's basically what you question first. And then because you explained to them that empathy has to be like the English phrase that you glue to that lesson is easily walking in somebody's shoes. right?
Yes,
So,
yes,
and that's a
absolutely.
good one. And then you actually make it visual. Like you raise some of this, like one of the students and say, so, well, she shared she has a headache. Can we actually right now step into her shoes? Like actually step into her shoes. Of course, we can ask her to take them off, but can we really be in her body? And so that is a very big visual for them to also understand that that's, not something that can happen like this. Then you ask them again, like, so then if we are trying to step into somebody's shoes, but we can never do it in a direct sense, what
Right.
does empathy in your idea mean? And then they come to understanding that it's trying to do my best, to understand somebody else's feeling, but being cognizant
Yeah,
of the fact that I can never take somebody's spot and never
absolutely.
comparing that somebody's pain is better than somebody's else. And so then you ask them to create a situation where they felt understood or misunderstood, and how would they want people to respond. So you actually make it like very related and very teenage related, like in my case, because I do teach teenagers.
Yeah, true. Thank you, Anna. Oh, okay. Somebody actually wrote a very interesting thing. Some of my students are very tricky. Okay, what is it? Oh, they pretend to be sick during the lessons. That's how students are, right? Some of them are, yeah. In some case, we have to be strict to them and keep distance. Keeping distance, okay. But does it mean you're not being empathetic to your own students when you keep distance? Okay, somebody wrote, in order not to be trapped, we need to be able to recognize emotions of our students. Yeah, that's also true. Teachers, well, they need to be recognized. They need to be able to recognize emotions of the students, and yeah, students also need to be able to recognize the teacher's emotion, because when we teach, we are not the same person every day, right? We also go through so many stuff. We also try to show empathy, but sometimes we can't. Now, don't keep distance, Anna already mentioned. Year 4 students do their teaching in real life schools, do reflect on it. First 3 months is negative feelings. As a teacher, we have to help them. Great, great. Negative feeling teacher. Yeah, that's part of the teacher preparation stuff. That is part of teacher education, which is important. Yes. Mm-hmm. Great. That's nice. I actually have a task which I made my students do. So I will actually share the written lesson plan with all of you. If just let me know if you can see it.
Yes.
It's a Word file.
Yeah.
The thing is, we have our lesson plans before we go to the class. I'm sure it's pretty much same everywhere. We have to prepare lesson plans. We have to have it, and we need to teach the students accordingly. So this is something what I did with my students from computer science and engineering department, and they were actually students from first year, second semester. So to be honest, it was really difficult for me to make them understand the idea of emotional intelligence and empathy. I mean, they were also saying that they're going to do everything with the data thing, and they will be software engineers, something like that. So I actually had to struggle when I was teaching the idea of empathy, the difference between empathy and sympathy, and why they actually need it in their job context, also in their academic context. So what I did is, this is something what I did. It was almost 3 to 4 months ago. It's just a basic thing that I started with. They later on I created something else. So this was a scenario, just one scenario where students were I told them to do this kind of role play. This was the scenario, like your classmate failed an important exam and looks upset. How would you respond to help them feel better? So here I had the role play, which two students did. And I actually made them use English language. What happens in our context, sometimes students don't want to use English. There are so many reasons for that, like fear of criticism, some kind of language anxiety. So what happened, we have something called marks in attendance. So I made it very clear that if students don't use English, definitely marks will go down in their attendance. So they were like, okay, so that actually matters. Attendance matters. So I gave them some sample English phrases. There were some handouts. And I just gave them like 5 minutes to prepare that what those mean. They went through it. Two people just tried to prepare for the scenario, where in one part they showed empathy using the prepared language. They kind of acted out. And after that role play, I just asked the students to discuss how did they feel when they showed empathy, or what kind of expressions they made in order to make the response empathetic. In another scenario, like our classes are pretty much it's like 60 minutes. So what happened is for at least 20 minutes I kept the part for empathy, for other 20 minutes I kept the part for sympathy thing. So the same scenario I used, where in the role play one student they pretended to be somebody who failed the exam and was very upset, like was about to cry. And the other student who responded with sympathy, not empathy at all. It's just saying sorry or expressing pity, sorrow, saying bye bye, something like that. After that role play, I asked the same questions and have them discuss within themselves. And I tried to elicit some responses from them, like how they felt. So with this basic thing, what happened, they actually said that, yeah, these things are different. We probably saw, we probably experienced it, but we never know it means empathy or it means sympathy. So what happened after these basic things, I later on in the next class, I just came up with some kind of made up job scenario, some kind of real life example. And then I showed them that, yes, if you're not empathetic in your job life, or if you don't show empathy, if you don't receive empathy, these things might happen. So this is just a sample thing that I used in my classroom. You can also use it if you want. I will give it to you. Don't worry. It's just something I used. The problem is it's not like I made all of my students feel that what is empathy or what is sympathy. Some of them were still doubtful. Even I remember one student actually asked me a question that, okay, I'm learning here to be empathetic in my classroom or maybe in job life. How do I become empathetic in my family life? I really didn't have any answer for that. I'm not some kind of counselor, but I just came up with some kind of example from our context, and then the student was like, yeah, some things this will happen like that. But anyways, empathy is part of emotional intelligence, which is a very important skill in today's world, because humans are emotional, and since AI is taking over, so emotions will keep us human. So what I can tell you that when you're teaching any lesson in English, uh, you can actually tell your students to show or be empathetic, show empathy, and you can actually tell your students that how to have resilience or how to be self-aware and how to demonstrate empathy or positive relationship skills using some kind of lesson plans just like this. You can just modify this lesson plan considering your context. So the thing is, I want to say this empathy thing, it will not be developed, or many students will not be able to understand just within 3-4 classes. Some of them will, but some of them will not, because sometimes these kind of things also come from family background. But still, as language teachers, you can always have your own plans and you can tell them what to do and what not to do. So I'll go back to the slides, and there are other skills. You can focus on critical thinking, we have already mentioned, with that decision making, problem solving, digital literacy. All these skills you can actually, teach your students using English language. Here is one more task, which is solve the problem and adapt. This is part of what I taught my other students, like how to be adaptable in job life. So this is something, it's a bit different, by the way. This is something where I actually created some kind of very simple problem in the classroom, because my students were actually first year university students. Many of them didn't even know why they needed this kind of skills and what kind of jobs they will do. So I just came up with something very simple, some kind of classroom issue, which is very common. So then I told them to discuss. I gave them some problem. I told them to discuss in a group, not pair, because in my context, I remember that time I had almost 47 students. So it was very difficult for me to give them pair work. So instead of that, what I did is I made them do group work. And there was some language focus. I gave them some samples that I told them, when you are discussing in the group with your friends, you just you just can do you just can use this kinds of language when you're talking. And of course, there was the strict policy, you must use English in the group. So one thing I have to say, our mother tongue is Bangla, so most of the students are from that Bengali medium education background, and sometimes they have this hesitation to use English in the context. So we have to encourage them. So here, what I said, that something unique about this task was I actually made them do something with AI tool. I made them use Padlet, not the ChatGPT. I wrote here ChatGPT because you can do it in your classroom. But in my case, what I did is I used Padlet. I'm sure many of you know about Padlet. Nodira and I, we actually collaborated on something using Padlet, and it was really interesting. So if you guys, maybe we can talk about it later. That was initiated by some other teacher, and it was very interesting. So what we did is, what I did was, I had this Padlet account, and I just told them that instead of coming up and talking about the solution, you write the solution in the Padlet as a group, and then you post it, and also make some kind of visual using that. So that's what I did. So you can take help from any AI tool, which is very convenient for you. In my case, I use Padlet. That's it. All right. Somebody actually, yeah, Padlet is great. Somebody showed thumbs up. That's good. My students also like to do tasks on Padlet. Yeah, Padlet is easier these days. If you don't have Padlet, you can use Google Doc. That's very easy, I'm sure. And okay, how important is it for the teacher to model empathy in the classroom to effectively teach it an employability skill? Of course, it is important. But like I said, some teachers also have emotion. Not every day the teacher is the same. And I don't know about your context. In my context, we have large classrooms. We don't have the luxury to have only 20 students in the classroom. So not every day we are the same person, but we try to stay calm. But see, we are humans, right? Sometimes our emotions, they get exploded. But still, it is very important that you have to model yourself, right? But yeah. Oh, somebody, yeah. Anna also wrote, if you don't model, even if you make mistakes, you can model. Exactly. See, we are humans. We are part of those mistakes, errors, everything. So yes, as teachers, it is important, but you yourself, you show your students how to be empathetic. Because remember, when you're at the front of your students, you are a role model to many of them. See, I came to this teaching job because my teachers were my role model. I wanted to be like them. So I'm sure you also have these kinds of students who just want to be like you when they want to become teachers or somebody else, whatever. So yes, practice what you preach. Exactly. I'm not sure practice can make you perfect or not, but it will definitely make you somebody better. So yes, as teachers, we have many hats to wear. Stay positive. Absolutely. What else can we do except for staying positive? Come on. So yes, this is what I did with problem solving and teaching adaptability skills in the language classrooms. Now, in my case, my students were university students. I already told you. In your case, if your students are school levels or college levels, whatever levels, you just modify your lesson plan according to that. Also, please think about your students' language level. If you have a mixed level of students in your classroom, please also stay cautious of that. You may not want to use all kinds of difficult languages. They might be very discouraged in that. Finally, somebody mentioned some kind of global skills. Yes, leadership skills important. Yeah, I want to show you this. We are almost at the end, actually. This one, I want to tell you that this is actually research backed that one of the top skills that employers seek in job applicants today is leadership. Okay. And because the world is changing, I already told you, AI is everywhere. So when we talk about leadership, okay, it's not just that I don't know, right? How would you teach leadership? Some teachers actually can say that maybe they can make leaders from their students because maybe they can plan an event. They will make sure some students will volunteer, and there they will be given some kind of positions. Will that make leaders? Do you think? Will that standalone event will that make leaders out of your students, or there can be much more to that? Leadership can be taught with assigning some problem solving task. Okay. It's the graph made by you. We need to cite. You don't have to cite me actually. I'll tell you. I also used AI to create it, but my prompt was very specific. All right. Please teach your students to use prompt very specifically when they are using some kind of infographic or image. That is also something teachable. And it's important. Prompt engineering is very important. Otherwise, AI will just give you any kind of solution that you may not even like it. Yeah, one thing you can do, when you are teaching leadership in the classroom, you start with group tasks. Okay, you start with project work. You can just begin them by having learners identify or describe their roles and responsibilities within the group. Just one thing you need to make sure that you are the teacher, you have some kind of authority to distribute the roles and responsibilities of your learners. Otherwise, what might happen is sometimes if you tell your learners that you choose your own roles, they might fight over it. And I have seen it actually. So most of the time it is better if you decide who will be leader and who will be like the other position, like subordinates or something. Also, when you are teaching this kind of skills in your classroom, you have your learners brainstorm the skills and qualities that can make an effective leader. So you at least tell your students that or maybe instead of telling, you can show some photos of leaders, some great leaders of this world. Okay, past leaders, present leaders, or would-be leaders. You just tell them that this leader has this kind of qualities. Do you have this quality, or would you like to have this quality in future? How would you like to develop these qualities? Don't give all the answers to your students. Make sure your students brainstorm them. All right. And you have to make sure that you can create some opportunities for each of your learners to take on the role of leader in group tasks. Now, sometimes teachers become biased. Okay, that is also part of this leadership and global skills. Sometimes we have our favorite students and we always want them to have the leader position. That is not something you should do at all. All right. So absolutely, you have to give chance to every learner to be in the leader position whenever you're assigning them in any kind of task, be it a pair task, group task, or whatever task. All right. So last thing is you have to allocate time for learners to research how these kinds of qualities can be useful when these students will go to the job market. Because unless they can make the connection, they will never know that why they need to be the leader. All right. So make sure you also teach your students that why these skills are necessary and what kind of companies, what kind of organizations, even if your students want to move to abroad to different countries, what kind of leadership skills they might need to be an improved a good citizen there. So you teach them, not just teach them, you also show them. Like you can show them videos, you can show them some photos, you can share case studies, you can share some articles based on your level of your students. You can even share some news articles, anything that you want to do, anything that you think your students will find interesting to develop their leadership qualities. You do that. So pretty much sure as teachers you have that kind of freedom in your class. So yeah, that is pretty much all of it. Also, you might have one question that if you're teaching these kinds of skills in your English classroom, how would you assess it, right? Assessment is part of a kind of core part of every teaching. Um, I don't have much of the assessment stuff on my mind, but when I was making the slide, I was just thinking that this this might come up from any of you that uh, should we just teach the skills, but should we not assess them or should we not keep track of them? So whenever you're assessing, I know everybody's education system or educational institution, you have different grading policies and you have different kinds of semester timeline and other stuff. So whenever you're teaching this kind of skills, please try to assess these three things, like whenever they're communicating in English, is there clarity? Or is it understandable? Is it comprehensible? Also think about the participation and teamwork. Okay, how much of they have participated, or if everybody was able to part in the teamwork or any group project. And also when if you're like we already talked about this, like if you're teaching critical thinking, problem solving skills, whatever. So you just ask your students whatever ideas they have, what kind of reason or logic or emotion they're having. So these three things you can have on your mind when you're assessing them. You can even mark them, grade them in however way you want to. When I was teaching that one particular skill in my classroom, I used this rubric. You can just modify or you can create your own rubric. You can even ask AI to create one on behalf of you if you prompt your stuff well. So that's it. Somebody actually mentioned about some challenges. So I'm sure this one is visible, right?
Yes.
So yeah, challenges, there will be challenges, by the way. It's nothing is without challenges in this world. So not we all, maybe most of us have large classrooms. So yeah, when you are having large classrooms, you go for the group work. If you have time, do the pair work or make sure you have pair roles. Then of course low motivation is another fact. Like not all of our students are highly motivated or equally motivated in the language classrooms. So what can you do? You try to bring in some real world topics and some talks, some videos, some fun activities that you can show to them or you can make them do in your classrooms. Then you also see if the motivation level is going up or not. And one more important thing is cultural differences. Some countries are multilingual, multicultural. Some countries are bilingual, and there are different types of cultures. So what can you do? This is part of the idea which is called global citizenship, and which is very important if you want your students to become a good leader. So you give them diverse examples. Don't just show, pictures or videos where everybody is similar. So make sure the examples are also diverse. They're not similar at all. In case of examples, you can have some real life examples. You can bring in newspaper articles. You can bring in some videos. Anything that you find useful, you check it out first, and then you think about your student level and you bring it into the classroom. And also there might be some time constraints. I have time constraints in my classroom. 60 minutes is nothing for me. Like I want to teach them so many things, but I can't. So you break the tasks into steps. Step by step, you go by that. Then one speaker already mentioned that you pair the stronger one with the weaker one. That actually works when you have mixed level of classrooms. So you try to do that. And another thing is limited AI access, digital access. So in many of our contexts, we don't have the equal digital stuff. So in that case, you should have some backups. In our context, we have some kind of whiteboard. We still have chalkboard. So those are our backup plans. Like whenever electricity goes, we have the printouts. So you have your own backups or you create your own backups. Just make sure that you know that challenges are there, but you also have the fix up. So you have the solutions. So finally, I'm going to end with just one simple video. Then I'll be closing it. Just let me know if the audio is clearly audible.
My name is Mike Mayer, and I'm director of the Global Scale of English.
Yes, visible.
It's okay, right?
Yes.
Good. Okay, let's do this.
Pearson.
My name is Tim Goodyear.
My name is Mike Mayer, and I'm director of the Global Scale of English at Pearson.
My name is Tim Goodyear. I'm a member of the core authoring group for a recent project to update the Common European Framework of Reference, which is referred to as the CFR.
I think employability has become more significant in language education recently, mainly due to employer expectations. So I think expectations have risen. I think employability has always been a factor. So I was teaching in the 1980s and people were learning English for employability. But I think now expectations of employers have risen as proficiency in English language in general has risen around the world. They're now looking for more precise skills.
And I think also those skills are evolving in terms of what employers are expecting. And there's a recognition that to have transferable skills for the jobs of 2030, 2040 that we can't even picture yet, these will be very much soft skills of communication, and that therefore is very relevant to the language classroom where you're developing communicative skills. So in fact, there's a convergence of skills training for the workplace and language skills training. The Common European Framework of Reference has recognised and in many ways given a roadmap for looking into how to develop soft skills and skills for employability by fleshing out its existing scheme, especially to look at things like mediation skills.
The Global Scale of English is recognising this increasing prominence, if you like, of English for employability by taking the Common European Framework and extending it out into language descriptors which are specific for the workplace. So we developed a set of Global Scale of English learning objectives for professional learners. So this gives teachers more can-do statements so that they're able to create curricula and lessons around specific business skills.
I think what's really interesting also is the project you've done to link can-do statements to key professions, which is another extension of what these can-do statements can be used for, and viewing competencies as unlocking opportunity. I think we as educators can better prepare learners for the workplace by really thinking about how they will use the skills in the language in the workplace, thinking beyond the classroom, in fact, and visualizing with the learners what success will look like in communication. And then from there, developing activities in the classroom that are authentic and not just going through the motions of practicing interactions, but really using the learner's own interests and adapting the course as much as possible to their future goals.
I think Tim's right, and I would say as course book creators, we actually incorporate a lot of these skills into our materials. But what I think we could do to push it a little further in helping to raise awareness amongst the students that you're not just here learning the language, but actually are you using the language in the context of these skills? Are they participating fairly in group discussions? Is there active listening? Are they interrupting politely? Just raising awareness of those skills, because as those of us who work in large organizations know, they don't come naturally. And so just to begin raising awareness, I think, would be an added value.
All right, so basically they said whatever I just said, so they summed it up. So yeah, okay, somebody said, would you mind staying in touch? Well, I have to say this to you. This idea of webinar is kind of part of my ongoing work. I'm actually working towards upskilling people, and I'm not just teaching my students, as Nodira has already introduced me. Like, I'm a PhD researcher. So as part of my PhD, I am, kind of doing some kind of skilling sessions with different types of students at different levels. So yes, what I also would like to ask you that I personally believe in collaboration and partnerships in like helping both students and teachers, because this world today needs so many collaboration in different sectors. So yeah, I'm talking about upskilling, I'm talking about training or any kind of webinars like this, any sessions. So this is for you guys. If you need more things like this, more collaboration opportunities, so you also please feel free to reach out. And I would really love to stay in touch with all of you. So, and yes, I would definitely share this PPT. It's nothing confidential. So yeah. Before I conclude, my supervisor is here at this webinar, and I actually would like to where is he? I don't know. Sir, can you hear me? Can you unmute yourself, please?
Hi, Iffat.
Hi. Yes. Okay. So I just want him to say something. We are also in some kind of project work on this. So, Nodira, is it okay if he says something?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
congratulations, Iffat.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. Well, he's Dr. C. Ramamani Reddy. He's my supervisor from EFL University, where I'm doing my PhD. So yeah, sir, go on.
Welcome.
It's okay. I congratulate Nodira and others who, on behalf of Open US Forum, have taken up on you to organize useful sessions for teacher community like this. Best wishes for more. And Iffat, congratulations.
Absolutely.
And keep up the spirits, and
Sure.
keep collaborating with more and learn more. All the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the warm wishes. And
Yeah,
we are
and
so
also thank you so much for
happy.
having me. Yeah,
We are so happy to be here. Thank you for the great presentation. Let me share some announcements about the upcoming webinars. I hope the the questions will be asked on the chat. We will upload this session on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. And dear colleagues, if you have any other questions and if you want to reach out the if Miss Iffat, and you can address. So let me share the about upcoming webinars. So our next webinar will be on Wednesday, January 14th, 10 a.m. Tashkent time. Firuze Erkulova from Uzbekistan. On the topic methodological preparation for the teachers. The next webinar, next session will be Open Central Asia Regional Interest Community Alumni Event. We will be very happy if you join to our alumni event. And the next, our special webinar will be on the topic how can we develop on our students' writing skills on January 23 at 7 p.m. Tashkent time, and will be shared by Parvina Rizaiva from Tajikistan. And this is our Facebook page and YouTube channel. So could you please join and share with your networks? So we are so happy and we are very grateful for being here and for the great contribution, dear Iffat. So thank you so much for the great contribution and share it from your
thank you.
experience. We
Yeah,
really
sure.
appreciate your contribution and help. I hope
Yeah,
our colleagues have got many fruitful, useful information and strategies and approaches from your experience. And we are please stay tuned and I don't want to say goodbye, but I want let's see in the next upcoming webinars. Thank you so much. I want to thanks for our chat moderator, Yerkin Abdraimov from Kazakhstan. Thank you so much, Yerkin, for the controlling the our chat box. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is the end of today's session. We are so glad you are here, and this I'm going to thank you again for the active participation. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. See you upcoming webinars.
thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank you.
you, Ifat.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
of course. Yeah, sure. Bye. Take care.
Thank you, Sam.
Nadira, this is as usual the empathetic statement. It's got to be hard for you to try to kick people out of the session every time. We never